morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whatever time you're listening or watching this video, this live stream. Welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. My name is Edson Ochoa, and yeah, we've really got to talk about this match that happened last Saturday. First of all, I apologize for not having a show last week. Unfortunately, I had some business to take care of at the house with my parents getting ready for their trip. So I didn't have time to make a show. Jacob ran a virtual race that didn't go well. I told him, dude, you look very frustrated. Let's just take the day off, kind of thing. So. But we're back this week, and I want to thank you all for all of your support. I think the last time I saw it, I think I didn't check recently, but I know at noon I saw that the post game video that we did with Ray. Oh, sorry about that. I think it did decently. I think we're up to 85 views. So we thank you all for watching our content. And so we're back. We're going to be actually talking about what happened in the game. Now we've got Jacob along, so let's go ahead and give him a huge welcome. Jacob, how you doing? Hold on real quick. Sorry about that, guys. It has been a while since I have where are you at? Okay, try it now.
Hello.
There we go. All right, there we go. I had you in the wrong channel, so it wasn't coming through. All right, there we go. Jacob, how you doing?
Oh yeah, doing great. Looking forward to talking soccer, even if it's not the best news to talk about. Still looking forward to talking about it and being civil about it as well. Let's all remember that is the key thing, civil, and let's not piss off some of the players. Let's just not do that, because apparently they are a little sensitive. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Gringo. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no one's sensitive.
Wow.
no one's
defamation alert.
Yeah, defamation for
no,
sure.
Yeah, but you know what?
Sure.
It's funny, but I think this is coming from a Tigres fan, right? Yeah. So I think this final between Tigres and Chivas, where Tigres ended up winning, I think some of the comments that were made by post-game interviews by some of the Tigres players, they really held to heart a lot of the stuff that the media had said in the last couple of weeks, that they were old, that this team was not going to be doing anything in the final, etc., and all that kind of stuff. Like, they really took it to heart, and when they won the game, they were like, "So who are the old people now?" kind of thing, So unfortunately, some players kind of do take to heart a lot of the stuff that the media says. So, I mean, it could be for a good thing or a bad thing. We've talked about it before. They can use it for to better themselves, to kind of get a wake up, or they could use it for negative things and start punching journalists like Cuauhtémoc Blanco did back in the time. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, guys. So. The reason we're here to talk about, by the way, if anybody's right down in the chat, go ahead and say hello. And as always, if you guys have any questions, any comments, be sure to put it in the chat, whether you're on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. And if we have the opportunity, we will be mentioning some of these comments or any questions if we do have the time. But we do have a couple of things we want to talk about this game against Charleston Battery. So right off the bat, RGV FC is kind of running on thin ice with the fans, mostly because, they're coming off of a 3-0 loss against Tampa Bay Rowdies. And, the same thing that, every week, they talk about, well, we know when we make some mistakes. And, we need to fix them. We need to do right by our fans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think, who was it? Frank Lopez mentioned something like that in Spanish, and I want to say Wilmer Jr. Said something similar himself. You know that they are in depth with the fans on getting a positive result here at home. So,
Yep.
right off the bat, it was going to be a difficult scenario, right? Because you had pretty much the best team in the Eastern Conference come over to a HEB Park, and so it was an issue. It was a whole thing of the Toros needed to instill their style and implement their style right off the bat in the game, and take control of the match, limit the amount of mistakes, and frankly, not get scored on. Because I think the biggest issue that I had with the game against Memphis is that once Memphis scored and Memphis made the adjustments, they weren't able to have an answer for that, and they just fell apart, made some I guess you could say amateurish mistakes on defense. And I honestly think that the 3-0 was fair, but not fair at the same time. Because I do think, because of the mistakes, I think, they deserve to be punished in the soccer sense of the word, right? But at the same time, the match overall really wasn't for a 3-0 thrashing. I do think maybe RGV deserved a couple of goals here and there, but this isn't about deserving. This is about actually putting it in the back of the net. So, I don't know what your outlook of this going into this match against Charleston was, Jacob, but honestly, I really was not expecting much out of this team in overall.
So I'll even take it back further, or just a week after, actually. From what you said about the Memphis game, yes, 3-0 thrashing. I mean, in the end, it was still 3 goals. But RGV FC for that Memphis game should have lost 2-0.
Oh, the Rowdies, the Tampa Bay?
I'm just talking for now. I'm talking about actually Memphis.
Oh, okay. I see.
Even going further back here, because this will all make sense in the end. Just bear with me. It might take a tiny minute. But point is, so yeah, should have, but it just felt like that last goal, the team did not care. I know whatever, it's all been said and done, because weeks later, or the week later, well, the next week after that, they go on the road to Detroit. They get a point, big old point, could end up hindering Detroit City in the end with maybe getting a 1 seed or something like that if they fall. But that's, of course, a long time away. But then we move on after that game, and it already seemed like RGVSC were doing better after that 3-0 thrashing. Then it was the glorious New Mexico United match, which now feels like was a loss to me, even though it was 2-2. Before then, I wouldn't say that. But here's the reason why now, as well, we move on. You get 2 goals and then you get scored on twice, but already this team seemed like they were doing better from Detroit, from playing against New Mexico. You move on again the following week into the trap game, which was the Tampa Bay Rowdies. In my eyes, that was exactly a trap game. Or, well, no, I take it back.
San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego. You get the 3 points at San Diego. That is where I say the next game was a trap game, which was against Tampa Bay, because you're coming in here, you feel on top of the world and indestructible, like this winning streak is not going to stop. But you're going to start a streak and it's going to continue. Well, you're at home and you're playing against one of the best teams in the USL. Well, we all know how that game happened, 3-0. Yeah, should it have been 3-0? Probably not, but it did, and RGVSC got, they got caught in that sort of trap game where they thought that they were going to be legit. And it's a very, very, very rude awakening like they did to San Diego Loyal. So here's where it is. This team felt like they regressed right after. It felt like they were so good at one point and then all of a sudden fell apart. And now we're back to step one. I know it's saying a lot, but that's just how it feels.
Did I not say, and I don't want this to be a gotcha moment where like all I care about is me being right. Right. No, because then people are gonna say like, oh, he wanted the Toros to lose, so just so he can be correct. No, I really don't want the Toros to lose. I don't want the Toros to regress. But did I not say, Jacob, right after San Diego, when you were like, yeah, this team is back? Did I not say, look, I don't want to throw the fireworks yet. I'm going to be cautious about the improvement, about getting goals scored by Francois, kind of thing. I want to be cautious because I want to see if this is going to be a long-term improvement and not just a flash in the pan like it appears to be, So I think right off the bat, like I said, I was kind of cautious. I was like, man, we're going up against a good team. And, honestly, it was like, I'm really not expecting, to be surprised by, a good game by RGV FC. Now, the thing is, Jacob, is that RGV against Tampa, they are, hey, how's it going? Jorge Peña, Costless, Mike, Jesus Hernandez, and Joe Granson. Huge shout out to all of y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. But okay, so where I was getting at is RGV starts the game off correctly. They start off with, they're the ones with the momentum. They're the ones dominating possession. The thing is like RGV's shot qualities are improving. The same thing happens with RGV against Charleston Battery. They dominate the possession of the ball. They're the ones that have the chances. And on top of there being chances, they are on net. Right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we'll take a look at some of these replays that I have, to analyze about this game. But if you look at the shot output by both teams, Charleston Battery's first shot, and I'm not talking about on target, it was off target, but the first shot overall in the game was around the 20th minute. Between the beginning of the game and that shot, RGV already had 7 shots, 4 on target, 2 off target, and 1 blocked by Robert Coronado. So this isn't really, like you say, back to square one kind of thing. Because if you remember when we first started this season, our shots were all over the place.
Yeah.
Everywhere except on target. And I keep talking about it. There's been some improvement, but you got to get those shots on target. You're dominating. Mm-hmm. You have to make the opposing team pay for their mistakes. You have to make the opposing team pay for seeding or unable to get the momentum of the game in their hands.
Yep.
Right? So let's take a look at the first shot by RGV, which happened, I think, barely in the 5th minute. Okay? So you see in this play where RGV has, the possession of the ball with Ricky Reese. There's, the ball. Ricky Reese tries to pass it over to, I think it's Taylor Davila. And then the ball and actually ping pongs between two Charleston Battery defenders. right? And none of the defenders were able to get a footing of that ball, and it managed to sneak over to Francois. Now, Francois does something very interesting and actually very, very smart. He knows that he's got, I believe that's Juan David Cabezas, or Taylor Davila, actually. He knows he's got Taylor Davila running into space into the box. And the only other center back that's nearby, he's the one, Francois, he's the one that is attracting that marking, right? So what does he do? He takes a first time backheel touch over to Taylor Davila. So that way he just goes in straight towards goal, takes the shot, but it goes straight towards the keeper. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's the first shot, like I said. This is 4 minutes and 47 seconds into the match. And the ball goes straight toward, I think you could see that Trey Muse, he reacts, because obviously that's the first, as a keeper, you gotta try to react, especially because the ball's gonna be going. He's calculating the ball's gonna be going like right next to his body, and so he manages to get a touch on it, deflect it, clear it, punches it away from danger. Right. Mm-hmm. So that is in the 5th minute. Then later on, this is almost the 10th minute. Again, RGV continues to have possession of the ball. Everybody is pretty much in the upper third of the field, or at least in Charleston Battery's, half of the field. So Ricky Reese opens it up to Wilmer Jr. Wilmer Jr., he tries to look for a cross, but he feints and actually dribbles the ball to the inside of the field. And honestly, this was one of those things where the Charleston Battery defense was easily dribbled. You were able to dribble past the defenders, into space. RGV really wasn't very, successful with the crossing. But when it came to, dribbling towards the inside and shooting, they were actually very effective. The problem is, once again, you got the issue where the shots that have an idea, they went straight towards where the keeper was. So you're talking about that Trey Muse in this case with who was the keeper for Charleston Battery. He had a sense of positioning to be to try to what's the word I'm looking for? Try to guess and be in a position of where that ball was going to get shot at. And really, he didn't really move much to get to those shots, right? So overall, like I said, the issue is the shots are getting more accurate, but they're getting too accurate towards the keeper. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I 100% get what you're trying to say there, where it's just right at the keeper. You're not necessarily making the keeper work for it. If you make the keeper work for it, that means you are trying to go bottom right corner, bottom left corner, top right corner, top left corner, other areas than just the middle. And when you go through the middle, it's very, very, very difficult to score. It really boils down to that exact same thing. When it's difficult to score, that's because you're either shooting it off target or directly at the keeper, and none of those are going to be in the back of the net. And other teams take advantage of that against RGV FC and then end up countering however it is, whether the keeper just corrals it, rolls it quickly, they go quickly off of a counter. I've seen RGV FC a couple of times this season get burned by that. So it is a frustrating thing that they do need to work on, making sure that they don't hit the middle of the goal.
So one of the things that I forgot to talk about, and I'll go ahead and mention it real quick, is I didn't mention starting 11. So the starting 11 of this game was, and this is the surprising kicker, was Carlos Merancio instead of Tyler Derrick on goal. So that off the bat just shook everybody. Like, okay, what is going on here? Like, this was unexpected. They never mentioned that Tyler Derrick was injured. He didn't look injured during warm-ups either. And then Wilmer Cabrera said in the post-game press conference, Well, it's just that he. Let me try to remember what he said, because I know Shadow Wolf asked him about that, and he said pretty much, well, I think it was time to see what Carlos Merancio can do, kind of thing. Yeah. So this was not one of those things that it was a dire situation that forced him. It was just one of those things like, oh, we've already seen Tyler. Let's see what Carlos Merancio can do. And honestly, that is a decision that really isn't common in professional sports. I think overall, I mean, it's not really, really common. Like, once a keeper gets a hold of the starting position, unless he gets injured or red carded, or he has howler of matches where it's blatantly clear that it was his fault, that they lost badly. Like, for example, Karius in that particular Champions League final against Real Madrid, right? Where he makes two blatant errors that end up in goals. And obviously, as a Madrid fan, I celebrated that, but you feel bad. Like, it affected his career to the point where, he was a starting keeper for a top team in Europe. And I think last I heard, he was in a middle to bottom level team in the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So he really earned a bad reputation with that. Mm-hmm. So, but we don't really see, or at least in my opinion, I really don't. Yes, we've lost 3-0. We've lost 2-0 at home. But I really don't think that Tyler Derrick could be the sole or the main villain of this story arc.
No. No, but I get why Wilmer's doing this. You need a bit of a change. Considering, just listen to this. I know it's not, all of these have not been his fault, but it's very difficult to look past that he's only had one clean sheet. I never, ever, ever want to talk bad about this, man, and I'm not. It's just tough. I put myself in coach's shoes here. He's only had one clean sheet. Then you lose 2-0 against Pittsburgh. He gives up two goals there. You give up 3 goals against Memphis. A couple of those were his fault, in my opinion. He hasn't been able to really save a penalty this season. He technically does have 2 clean sheets against Monterey Bay FC. That counts as one, even though it was a 0-0 draw. But then it's just, yes, I saw it up close and personal. Wasn't his fault against New Mexico. But you see, it is time to change and see what Carlos Merancio could do, considering all leading up to it. He just hasn't performed like the rest of the team. It's not just you, it's also the team. So let's change one thing and maybe change up this roster around again, or this lineup around again. I know that you definitely don't agree with me, but I see where Coach was coming from this whole thing of switching it up.
Yeah, but to me, at least in my eyes, it's like it's almost like he's treating Tyler Derrick as a scapegoat, because honestly, the issues aren't with the keeper position.
No.
It's not because of leadership, but with Tyler Derrick. Tyler Derrick's been vocal. It's the defenders. The defenders are the ones that are making the dumb mistakes, getting out of position, giving off, easy penalties that should not be given. And really, there's really not much you can do, because we don't have the personnel to do it. I mean, what are you gonna do? Okay, so obviously the starting 4 so far have been Ritondale on the left. Mm-hmm. Your 2 center backs are Wahab Akwe and Gabriel Benitez. And on the right, you have it's usually Jonathan Ricketts. But that's another surprise. No Jonathan Ricketts either, which means that whatever his injury was that he got right before the game against Tampa Bay Rowdies was worse than I think anybody originally thought. So the problem is, who do you have to put over there, right? Who do you have on the bench? You've got Eric Kinser, which is a center back. Frank Nodarse, who is also a center back, and I've already said that I don't like Frank Nodarse as an outside back, right? So I will not put him there. Eric Pimentel, another center back. So you've got 3 center backs on the bench, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've got Gringo Torres, who's a midfielder, Ian Cerro, which is a midfielder, and Frank Lopez, who's a striker. Who else do you have on defense? You really don't have anybody. That's a true outside back. Well, you've got Robert Coronado, but you have him playing up on top. And Gabriel Benitez, who was brought in technically as an outside back, according, if I recall correctly, from the the press release at the time. And you have him playing center back, which is strange, honestly, as well. But I kind of see the idea. Gabriel Benitez brings in leadership, brings in his experience. That maybe over Frank Nodarse, which is surprising because I think outside of the, before his injury, Frank Nodarse had been playing lights out as a center back, right? So you end up, Wilmer Cabrera, he ends up having to improvise again with Duilio Herrera, who had a decent game, a good game actually, against Tampa Bay Rowdies, because at least on his end, defensively, they had a hard time, getting danger for the most part. But then once the adjustments started being made, and then you had what's his name? I forgot his last name, but I called him Carlito because he looks like that wrestler, that Puerto Rican wrestler, with his hair and everything. I think even from the stands, he really looked like Carlito, right? But Carlito overall, it was, wreaking havoc everywhere he was, whether it's through the middle or through out wide, he was wreaking havoc. The problem is that Duilio Herrera is not an outside back. He's more of a winger. And you can only do so much with an improvisation. It can last you for a while, but when you don't have the experience, you can be good when game. But then when you go up against a team who's got an opposing winger is of different characteristics, well, you don't know how to adapt, right? And we'll get to him once we see a couple of more clips, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you're running with a patched defense who's prone to be making mistakes, but on the outside you don't have anybody to replace to make any changes. And I guess in the middle, the center backs per se, I know Wahab Akwe really has been playing decent at for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. So the thing is in my eyes, it was an unneeded change. And I'm not saying it because Merancio is terrible and I didn't want Merancio. It's not that. The issue is that Tyler Derrick really wasn't doing that bad for you to, let's put in Merancio kind of thing. At least that's just in my eyes, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what you guys think in the chat. Like I said, you guys are more than welcome to give your thoughts. Yes, Costless, Spalding, that's the guy, Carlito. And Costa says, Lourdes Karius is now the backup for Newcastle. Yeah. So, yeah, he really went down.
Sure. Newcastle.
Well, from being in Liverpool up on top in Champions League, obviously Newcastle overall in general has gone exponentially better than they have been in the last, 2 years, But the idea is that, from being a starter and a Champions League
to a bench warmer, yes, I completely get it. But he will be back in the Champions League this next year, though.
Well, that is very true. So I guess we'll see. Mike says, "Bro, not having Tyler in there was dumb." So,
I mean I'm not saying it wasn't dumb. I'm just saying I get where coach was coming from. Let me be more clear on that. I get where he was coming from.
So basically, you're being devil's advocate for right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I see it. I'm trying to see both sides more now, so that I'm not the one that gets canceled by JT. Just saying, shout out JT, awesome job as always, sir. But yeah, just if I play both sides, he can't really get mad.
So okay, so we talked about the changes in this in the goalkeeper position. Like I said, caught a lot of people on guard, and I think for the most part, not a lot of people were very convinced that it was a good idea. Obviously, like I said, we don't have Jonathan Ricketts still, so you had to improvise once again with Duilio Herrera. Now, having said this, let's take a look at the next clip, because this, if I'm not mistaken, was another instance with RGV. I want to say, was this another attack? No, this was their first approximation, if I'm not mistaken. No, this isn't actually, no. So this is another shot. This is where, Robert Coronado gets a shot, gives it over to Ricky, perverts a pirouette that the Charleston Battery defense 8 hook, line, and sinker. But the thing is like RGV, when they're at 100% and they, do the high pressure, they've been good. They've choked, or they've pushed the opposing team into their own area. And they've gotten opportunities. They've gotten chances, unfortunately. And see, this one, this particular play, you mentioned, Jacob, a little while ago. Well, you got to make the keeper work. You got to try to look for, the top bin, the bottom bin. This is exactly what happened with Ricky. Ricky's shot was to the base of the near post, but Trey Muse was located, positioned correctly to be able to get a touch to it and send it over to the corner, right? So there is a little bit of credit there to Trey Muse, but honestly, you started to see some of the deficiencies in the defense from Charleston Battery that really RGV really needed to take advantage of. Now, we go on to the 19th minute. This is where Charleston Battery has the ball and they play it. They're playing through the middle, playing quick passes. Now, here's the thing, guys. Let me go back real quick. So I'm telling you guys that from the 19th minute before, it was all RGV. All of the opportunities were on Charleston Battery's side of the field. So what does that usually do? Okay, if Charleston Battery isn't attacking me, there is no need for my defensive line to be so far behind, right? So they start pushing up, and they got to the point where they felt too comfortable and saying, "Oh, well, Charleston's not going to attack me because we've been choking their passageways into our side of the field." So basically your whole line of defenders are in front of the midfield line. So you can see right here, you've got Wahab Akwe, you've got Duilio Herrera, over here, and then Gabriel Benitez and Tomás Riton. Look at where Tomás Ritondale is. It's like, you see where that Jack in the Box ad board is? That's where Tomás Ritondale is. He's way up high, and so is Gabriel Benitez, where that Kappa one is, and he's guarding Augie Williams, right? The issue that I have, and this is where you see, and there's obviously this is no diss towards Duilio Herrera. Que quede bien claro, guys. This is not a diss to Duilio Herrera. But you can see these are the moments where you see the inexperience of the position on a player like Duilio Herrera. Look at where he's positioned in reference to the other attacker and the ball. He is pretty much farther to the side from where the ball is, but he is closer to the ball on a north to south axis, right? So what does that mean? Is that you're on the side of the field that with a through ball, there's never going to be an offside, even though he's behind you and behind the line, right? But you are not on an east to west axis. You are not close enough to the ball that if the ball does get passed through, that you have a better chance of intercepting. So what does this Charleston player have to do? All he has to do is pass the ball in between Akwe, through his back of Akwe and Duilio Herrera, and he's going to go straight through on goal. And that's exactly what happened. Ball gets passed in between both. And here's another thing that I find lacking in this play. Look at where Merancio is in this play. Remember where the defensive line was for RGV? Ahead of the midfield line.
Yep.
But look where Carlos Merancio is. He is just ahead of his 18-yard box. So you've got a huge space in between your keeper and your defense that if that ball went through, you give the opposing team an opportunity to dribble, look up, see where the goalkeeper is, and shoot. Another thing, this was number 2. Because he's so far behind and the pass was passed at just the sweet spot of force that it doesn't get close, it gets past the defenders, but isn't too far or isn't too powerful that it's going to get close to where the keeper is. Carlos Merancio, he knows he's not going to get there. If he tries to run towards the ball, he's not going to get to it, and he's just going to leave it wide open for the keeper. So he's stuck in a situation where, if I go, I'm going to get beat, right? He's either going to chip it or he's just going to dribble past me towards goal. But at the same time, you stay put out there and you have no momentum, So all he's waiting is, let me see if I can contain him. And that's what he tried to do. And fortunately for him and RGV, that shot went just a little bit wide off of the goal. But had it been another striker that was a little bit more aware of the positioning, he could have easily tried to chip over Carlos Merancio, and that ball could have gone into the back of the net. But the real key that I really want you all to kind of realize about this play, guys, is that there was some miscommunication that was augmented by the inexperience of having a non-defender in a key defensive position that left them vulnerable for a counterattack. And that was not the first time in this game that Duilio Herrera was kind of caught in that situation where his inexperience facilitated somewhat the attack or the few times that Charleston Battery attacked RGV. Mm-hmm. Right? So now we move on to the next clip. No, that's not the one. Here we go. So this is the 24th minute. RGV has the ball. They lose the ball once again. And you see where, actually, let me move my web. Oh, no, not that. Let me move my webcam towards the other side. So that way you can see more an idea. Okay. All right. So, actually, flip it. There we go. Okay. So, in this play, RGV has possession of the ball. They're trying to attack. This time, Charleston is able to close down the passing lanes, and they were able to get the ball in their favor. Look where Duilio is. Duilio is going up to try and help out on the attack, try to provide a passing lane for, I believe that was Taylor Davila, right? But once again, Wahabakwe and Gabriel Benitez are stuck up high, right? So they go for a through ball over to Augie Williams. And so now Wahabakwe has to open up. The original passer, I want to say that was number 11, which was Barajas, moves up towards the middle, and it was left wide open by Benitez, who had tried to go straight towards the box. So, thankfully, Tomás Ritondale intercepts that ball and is able to get to it before that Charleston player gets it. But the ball just, instead of it being a pass, I don't know what his intention was. Maybe he didn't trap it right, or he wanted to clear it, but hesitated, and that caused the ball to just bounce away from his leg. And Taylor Davila wasn't expecting that because he was heading back towards, the middle of the field. And that ball just lands straight towards, I want to say that was, let me see who that was. Number 20, no, was it 19, which is Crawford. So it lands right towards Crawford. Look, see, miscommunication. Crawford goes first time shot, and that just goes just wide of the goal. So once again, we run into a situation where these individual mistakes end up leading for dangerous opportunities on goal for Charleston Battery. Jacob?
So, yeah, it is one of those situations where, I mean, I really don't know what you do here differently. Of course, just for the player to decide, but I don't know. There's something. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I kind of was left a little speechless after that too, and still, it's just very, very difficult timing in a sense there.
Yeah. So Abraham Moreno says, "What's up, guys? Watching on the road. Be careful out there. Obviously, be careful on the road." Costless says, "I think the GK debate is clear as day. With Derek, we get free jumbo jacks. With Carlos, we get no free jumbo jacks." Okay. To be fair, and we'll talk about it right now because we've got a couple of more clips to go through. To be fair, Charleston Battery didn't really outside of the goals. Most of the shots that they had were off target, right? And the ones that were on target, one of them was the PK, and the other one was the goal, which I think is the next clip. And it was just bad decision making that just left the ball right in front of the goal for Augie Williams to just shoot. And at that point, Carlos Merancio was just cannon fodder, right? You could try to react to it, but it was you're left at the mercy of the striker, right? I said it in the post game reactions video because I heard a fan as I was walking over towards the press area say that goalkeeper sucks. Well, ma'am, because it was a lady, ma'am, this result was not on the keeper. Que quede claro. This was not on the keeper. Carlos Merancio did not make any glaring errors. He was just an unfortunate passenger on this ride called defensive mistakes, right? In those two opportunities, obviously with the PK, it's heavily inclined in favor of the keeper, of the striker.
Yep.
And like I said, in the first goal, he was just left at the mercy of Augie Williams right in front of goal. Right? And when your opposing team, the rest of the shots are off target, when you don't need to actually react and make a save, well, there's really not much you can do to beef up your saving stats. Because I think technically he had 0, according to FOTMob, he had 0 saves in this game. But like I said, when most of the shots from the opposing team are off target, what are you going to do, right? Abraham says, "Not going to lie, we lost 2 goalies, Colin Miller and Javier Garcia." That's true, but I still think that we haven't seen enough out of Carlos Merancio for us to say, "Oh, he's a bad goalkeeper." And if he gets more minutes and he starts making glaring mistakes, well, yeah, then we can say, "Oh yeah, he's a terrible goalkeeper." But right now, what do we have? What do we have to grade him? The game against Tormenta, which was another one of those things where the goals, like I said, the first one was a wonder goal that nobody expected that ball to go the way it did. Mm-hmm. And the second goal was another freebie from the defense that weren't guarding the players correctly. And once again, Merancio went to go guard hit the first post, as he should, because the ball was on that side of the field, but there was nobody guarding the player that was coming in through the middle to shoot. So obviously, pass towards in the middle of the goal where there's no defender. As much as he tried, to make that run from the near post towards the middle to try to make a save, once again, he was at the mercy. So, I mean, he's not terrible, guys, at least in my eyes.
Yeah, you want to see a terrible goal, or a terrible goalie, go to the Dallas Stars. Go to the Dallas Stars about a night or two ago, giving up 6 goals.
I mean, it's hockey, dude. It's completely different.
Well, still, the point is that's not a good goalkeeper. And if we go back to soccer, it's you want to see a bad goalkeeper, go to David De Gea.
Yeah.
No, that's very fair.
Mike says Wilmer had some balls to play him, and I guess he's talking about Duilio. To play him in that position, he looked kind of lost out there. Yeah, and we go back. He doesn't have the experience to be there. I'm not going to say that he got lucky against Tampa Bay, because it does take a little bit of skill, but maybe the characteristics of the player he was going against in that game kind of allowed him to kind of adapt more to that, to counteract his characteristics compared to, who he went up against in this game against Charleston Battery, which was, and let me get that for you. It was, Fidel Barajas, right? And of course, you've got Augie Williams as well, who tended to drift sometimes towards that side during the counterattacks, right? And when you have tendencies to be more of a winger, sometimes you kind of forget that you are supposed to be the defender first and then an attacker. So you tend to kind of drift up and up and up, and especially when at the beginning you don't have, a lot of danger in your area. So you kind of you get being too comfortable, and he's like, okay, let me drift up and try to help out since they're not attacking. Suppose you leave yourself exposed kind of thing. But it's one of those things where he doesn't have the experience yet. We don't know what's going to be in the future. Is this going to be a long-term thing where Wilmer is going to make or mold Duilio Herrera into an outside back rather than a winger? Or is it just because, Jonathan Ricketts is hurt, and who else do we have to put in? It takes, you have to give him credit though. I know we're kind of picking at straws here, but you have to give Duilio credit, because when the team needed him the most, he stood up and said, I can do it, coach. I'm going to take the responsibility to get in a position that I'm not experienced in, but for the sake of the team, because the team needs me, I'll go ahead and adapt and try to do the best that I can to help out my team. You have to give him credit, especially at such a young age. Not many young guys have the guts to stand up and say, coach, I'm here for you. I'm here for the team. Let's have a go at it.
Exactly. We have to remember he is not that old. Guess what age he is, Edson? If you don't know that off the top of your head, take a wild guess.
If I recall correctly, he might be already 19.
There you go. Well, I mean, it says 18 on his Wikipedia, but if you're saying 19, you're probably right, because I don't know exactly when.
I think it is 18, because when he made his debut. Yeah, because when he made his debut, he was 17. Yeah. So yeah, he's 18.
So guess what, everybody? This guy is not going to college. Point being, he is still trying to adapt to a pro team, just like Wilmer Cabrera Jr. did. We all know that time, especially in Edson's life, when he made Jerson very mad. That's where that banter comes from. But it's that truth. Duilio has to adapt, and he's only had so many games, and this is basically, like Edson said, second year, kind of, and it's tough. It's tough, especially playing in a different position. Yeah, Duilio might not necessarily be ready for that spot exactly, but guess what? This is going to help his career out. This is going to help himself out drastically in the future. So great on him for being able to play in a different spot, even though he may not at this moment look amazing, because he's got so much more to give. He just has to learn more. He just has to adapt more and get better, put in more work. So yeah, this kid's gonna go places because he's working his butt off, because he's doing something that no one else on this team probably really are able to do either, is play in that position. A lot of at least players.
And then here's another thing. Outside of Duilio and all the other people that I mentioned that are not injured, that are on the bench, who do you got? You got 2 academy kids.
Yep.
You know? So where do we look? Where do we go from here? All right? I don't know. At least in that, but I think at the end of the day, huge respect, just like Abraham says. He says, I have mad respect for Duilio. This game against the Rowdies showed much of his character. But, like I said, it does kind of leave you in a situation where your inexperience opens the door for Charleston Battery. Yeah. So let's take a look at the next clip. Oh, by the way, he says, sidebar, any word on Ricketts? No, not that I know of yet. They never mentioned what it was. They never mentioned how long he was going to be out. All we know is he got injured during warm-ups before the game against Tampa Bay Rowdies. It looked to be a muscular issue from the from an observation perspective, but I can't tell you. I don't know exactly what it is, how long he is going to be out. But I hope that he makes a quick recovery soon. Right.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, how long has he been out already?
This game was, he was basically gone a week, because it happened again right before Tampa,
1 week.
and then this game against Charleston was a week after.
Oh, okay. So by that time frame, we can kind of tell. Okay, it's been a week, so we can basically, it's now starting process of elimination for that speculation thing, because if it's about six weeks, then we know it was pretty serious in a sense, that it could have been something very bad. But if it's like a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, then we know it's still kind of bad, but it was kind of minor and he's back. So that's just something, of course, just wanted to kind of add to what Abraham Moreno was asking there, just in case.
So this is 29th minute, right? So this is still in the first half, but this is after the almost an hour rain delay, right? So at this point, obviously, most of the momentum from RGV, you kind of lost it, because, now you're cold, you have to warm up again. So, you have to pretty much start from square one. So 29th minute, this is 9 minutes, after we came back and we restarted the game, or not restarted, but unpaused the game like if it was a video game. Okay. Charleston has the ball. They're playing out back. They pass it out wide towards 28. And then first time touch over to Fidel Barajas. Once again, just before the touch, Duilio comes up trying to intercept number 28, which is, where are you at? Wine or Win? Yeah, or Win. Anyway, Wyne. He sees there's a huge gap between Wahabakwe and Fidel Barajas. So if you've got this huge passing lane, I wish you guys could see my cursor. Actually, well, anyway. There's a huge lane between where Duilio is and the touchline. So where Wahab is right now, I don't know if you guys can see him right below the scoreboard. There's a huge lagoon that all Fidel Barajas has to do is try to avoid the offside, number one. But all he has to do is run at an angle towards the sideline, and he's going to be free. He's going to be free. Win has the awareness enough to see that. It's like, okay, I got the other defender coming towards me, but I've had a huge passing lane, and if I hit it first touch, that's going to go straight towards my teammate, and that's exactly what he does. First time touch towards the sideline. Fidel Barajas gets the cross in. And here's another thing, because this is the play of the goal, right? Fidel Barajas sends the cross. At face value, you think, oh, this is a cross that isn't going anywhere. It's going straight towards Tomás Ritondale. This is going to be a whole bunch of nothing burger for Charleston Battery. But this is the problem. And this is another player that he's young, so he doesn't have a lot of experience, right? The thing, he is a defender. He is a defender, but he's still very young. He doesn't have a lot of experience, so he's going to be a lot more prone to making mistakes. Okay? The mistake that I see in this play is that Tomás Ritondale lost his awareness of the Charleston winger that was on the outside of the box, outside the 18-yard box. He loses awareness of it. All he sees is, okay, Augie Williams is right in front of me. That ball is going to go way past Augie Williams. And so he thinks he's clear. So what he does is that he waits for the ball to come to him to clear that ball, rather than him going towards the ball and attempt to clear it with his head or whatever. So that particular attacker, and I want to say that is Crawford or Arturo. Might have been Crawford as well. Crawford takes advantage of that and completely sideswipes. Oh no, that's not the word I'm looking for. But he catches Tomás Ritondale off guard and gets in front of him, gets the ball, passes it to Augie, gets the shot, and into the back of the net. Right? So that ball just lands right in front of Carlos Merancio. So look, at the moment where it gets towards Tomás Ritondale, there's a huge gap between Gabriel Benitez and Augie Williams. The ball lands towards Crawford intercepts that ball. So clearly, Benitez, he's stuck between two players. So this is the dilemma. If Gabriel Benitez stays with Augie, you give Crawford a lane for him to shoot towards Merancio and towards the goal. But if he goes towards Crawford, which he does, that leaves Augie wide open right in front of goal as well. So you see that? The ball gets towards Augie. Juan David Cabezas isn't able to get there in time, and that's a goal against for RGV FC. So, but it all stems from the situation where Tomás Ritondale fails to be proactive in trying to clear that ball out, and instead is reactive in the sense that I'll wait for the ball to get to me and then I'll clear it. And so he got surprised by Crawford, and it all led to that.
Yep. I mean, it's frustrating. Players can't be shocked, can't be reactive, like you said. They 100% have to be proactive in that situation, and we're just not seeing that from the team. A couple of players. I mean, it feels like every single time we go on, we're talking about at least a couple of mental lapses like that, where players from RGVFC are reactive and just lose it. I mean, or are basically being Camden Riley's in a sense, where they just get beaten by their attacker that they're supposed to be marking or something like that. So it is frustrating, and that feels like something that is just underlying factor in why RGV FC's defense has been lacking this season so far.
Mm-hmm. Then the other thing is the fact, if you look closely at the replay, you see he never even glances towards his back. I think had he glanced back between I guess a little bit before Barajas gets that cross in, if he glances and he sees that Crawford's coming in, maybe he might have been aware that, oh, I got somebody coming in. I need to go for it and get to that ball before Barajas can come at me. But he never looked back. And so he was very unaware. He was never aware that Crawford was heading into his direction. And so it caught him by surprise that Crawford got to that ball first. It's experiences, obviously, but unfortunately, that experience cost us that learning experience cost us a goal, right? But it's stuff that him as like I said, another young guy, he'll understand. And then maybe next time it's like, oh shit, maybe, I need to be more aware of my surroundings, kind of thing. So there's that, right? So Harry says, what's up down in the standings? I mean, down in the valley. Happy face. Wow, Harry. Coming in guns blazing.
Is San Antonio too good for first place? Because I see y'all slacking. Y'all aren't in first. Y'all want to win the league again or not? Because y'all are slacking bad. Y'all are in third place.
Hey, at least they're being proactive, trying to get some players. Okay. Oh. At least, taking advantage of their finances. Okay.
Well, yeah, because they have finances because they won the championship. They got money. Unlike RGV, that's besides the point, though.
Anyway,
but really, the Valley sometimes doesn't really have that much money in general. So, but now it's booming because we're the border's back open. But that's besides the fact. And hopefully RGVFC can thrive. Guess what? We're 3 points out of 8th place. So, yeah, we might be down in the stands, but we're 3 points out of 8th place. If we were to win and New Mexico were to lose, we'd be 14 points tied with them in 8th.
I think the issue is that, we're not going to be, this is not a team that is going to burn the league, but I think at this point we're not that far off. There's still a lot of season ahead that we might be able to salvage a playoff spot at the end of the day, just like we have ever since we've been independent. The thing is that they've really got to fix the mistakes that they're making right now.
Oh, 100%.
They're aware of them. They're aware of them. Now we also have Galindres that's going to be coming in. We've got Pinzon that looks like, from the footage that we've seen RGVFC post from practices, he is really close to making a comeback. Yeah. How close to 100% is he going to be once he gets on the field? Well, we don't know. But we know for sure that there is potential to be a huge improvement with Pinzon on the field that can, kickstart something in the attack. Galindres as well, you've got a player who's got a good connection with Ricky Reese and, of course, Jonathan Ricketts, and he is a goal scorer. And you see on his Instagram that he's been, preparing. He's been getting fit. He's been playing, pickup soccer. He's had connections to maintain some sort of match fitness in a way. And so it's not going to be a huge detriment or a huge catch-up per se once Galindres gets into the Rio Grande Valley and starts, getting some minutes for RGV. So, but the thing is that we have to work on some mental issues to make sure that this team doesn't break down when they get scored on and these kind of things. And I think that's the biggest thing is that, we see that RGV has the potential to surprise a lot of teams. We talked about the game of San Diego. San Diego really underestimated RGV, and look what happened. They were like, "Oh crap!" This was a wake up call kind of comments from a player. And the same, against Tampa, we controlled them in the first half. I don't know what happened in the second half. Like I said, that's another thing that I think, and I mentioned in the post-game reaction show, Wilmer needs to be able to react and make any changes to help counteract any changes made by the opposing team. Because honestly, from what Juan David Cabezas mentioned after the game, is he said, yeah, once Tampa Bay made changes in the second half, we weren't able to react. We weren't able to counteract those changes, and it kind of caught us off guard. So those are the kind of issues that they need to work on, and of course, making sure the balls are on target, but they don't go straight towards the keeper, right? So, I don't know. Obviously this team could be a whole lot better, but with what we have, I think fans need to be a little bit more patient that, we might see something. I think the scoreboard is fair. And like I said, it's fair and not fair at the same time, because honestly, they're generating, they're not putting it into the back of the net. It's not like the games were a games where like, oh, we were clearly dominated. Like, let's say in the Memphis game. The Memphis game was a fair assessment of what the scoreboard... The score was a fair assessment of how the game went, right? RGV was dominated by Memphis, right? At all points of the game. The game against Tampa, in the first half, it was complete domination. I think had RGV scored the opportunities that they had, it would have been a whole lot harder for Tampa Bay to have reacted, and we probably could have had a different outcome. Probably... obviously, because you never know. It had the tendency of, we had a 2-0 lead against New Mexico United, and then, well, where'd that go? Kind of thing. But the game could have been different. Same thing, the game against Charleston Battery. The first 20 minutes, you had a lot of chances on goal before Charleston even had one opportunity to get a shot in our side of the field. But the thing is, if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, you cannot. You're giving life to the opposing team. You're choking them, but you're giving them enough space for them to keep breathing air. And eventually, what's going to happen? Yep. They're going to sucker punch you, catch you off guard, and then they're going to take advantage and, of course, finish the job. And what good was the domination? Well, nothing when you can't reflect it into the scoreboard, right? So that's pretty much my evaluation of how it's been these last couple of minutes, or these last couple of games. Obviously, as a fan, I'm not happy, that we can't win at home. But then I also look at it as like, all we need is to put it in the back of the net, at least, right? Defense needs to wake up, but the offense really needs to do their job. That the opportunities that they have, you got to put them into the back of the net. As we say in Mexico, el gol es el táctico. The goal is the tactician of this game. If you put that goal in the back of the net, you force Tampa or you force Charleston, hey, I got to change my tactics because I need to score. I need to take more risks and get more people up, open up the spaces. And then you're going to open the door for RGV, whether with Ricky or with Wilmer out on the wings, or Juan David Cabezas, who had a couple of good shots in this game, to get some shots on goal, maybe find another one, and things like that. But the defense needs to hold it down back there and limit the opportunities that the opposing team have. I think the biggest questionable thing about the defense is that, yeah, they haven't gotten to you in this game. They didn't get to you a lot, but the clear chances that they had, you gave it to them, you gifted to them, and you get scored on 2 goals. Right? Now, next clip. This is another goal. This is before halftime. This is 6 clips from the first half. But this is another aspect where RGV gets caught way up high. Duilio gets caught way up high. In fact, if you look, he's higher up in this play when they lose the ball than Ricky Reese. Right? And you've got Fidel Barajas over here, once again, with a clear path from the midfield line towards the goal. Another through ball towards Barajas. Wahabakwe can't catch up to him. And look at that run by Augie Williams. Goes right in front crosses right in front of Gabriel Benitez.
Yep.
And he crosses it at an angle to, one, avoid the offside, and number two, well, it's like, well, I'm going to go right in front of Benitez. Let's see. And at that point, when you see him cross, well, he's already been left behind. So there's a huge lagoon between Merancio and Benitez. So if he receives the ball, if the cross gets towards Augie, he's going to be right in front of the goal. Unfortunately, Augie Williams is unable unfortunately for Charleston's sake, he's unable to give it the redirection necessary to put it in the back of the net. And you could probably attribute that as well to Carlos Merancio closing up the space, right? It could be obviously that Augie, he wasn't able to get the angle of his foot correctly to redirect it in towards the goal. But it's also the fact that he was able to come out correctly to be able to try, because it's like, okay, Augie receives it, right? And he has to reach out for it. And so when you have to reach out, your foot is at this angle. So when the ball hits it, it's going to deflect at an angle like that towards the near post. So what does Merancio have to do? Well, let me limit as much of this side of the goal as possible. So the only way you're going to get it past me is you're going to have to try to find to either curve it around me, or if it doesn't curve, well, it's going to go past the far post, right? So you got to give a little bit of credit to Carlos Merancio on this play for Augie Williams to not have been able to score. Maybe another attacker maybe could have taken more advantage of this opportunity. But the problem is that we go back with the issue that the defense is left very vulnerable to the counterattacks, which leads me to the second goal. Okay. RGV has the ball right here. 63rd minute. Who was that? Was that Ricky or was that Duilio? I'm trying to see. It looks like it's Duilio. So Duilio has the ball. Ricky makes the run behind him, expecting a through ball. Duilio wasn't aware of that, or he didn't have the confidence to do it. He doesn't pass it, so he retains the ball. Right? But he's got the pressure from a defender. He sees Juan David Cabezas in the middle. That is free. He doesn't have anybody marking. So he decides to pass it to him. But once again, Juan David Cabezas is unaware of his surroundings, and give kudos to that defender for being aware and reacting to that pass to intercept it. So RGV loses the ball. You've got Duilio up on top, Ricky up on top. So you're left back there in the defensive line with Wahabakwe and Wilmer Jr. Right?
Yeah.
So they go for the counterattack. At that point, you leave. I believe that's Robert Coronado gets left behind. So now all you have left are Wahabakwe, who's a defender, and Wilmer Jr., who's not a defender. Right? So play continues. Akwe comes in to close down the player who's dribbling the ball and leaves Augie wide open. Okay? There's a little bit of a fortunate interception by Akwe, where this player tries to pass the ball over to Augie. And when that happens, it hits the heel of Wahabakwe, so the ball doesn't really get towards Augie in a favorable position that he's going to go run, one-on-one against Carlos Merancio. So Augie Williams has to come back to try and get the ball. But that because Wilmer and Akwe are too close together over here, Beto Avila realizes this, and he goes running at an angle towards the space. Oh no, that's not Wilmer. That's not Wilmer Jr. That's Nodarse. My bad. That's Nodarse. Okay. So what does Beto Avila do? Okay, I receive it, and I'm gonna dribble it with close touches towards the inside of the 18. So what am I gonna do? Maybe I don't have the speed to get past Nodarse. I'm gonna use my wits. I'm going to use my experience. What am I going to do? I'm going to attract the foul inside the box. He takes close touches, trying to lure Frank Nodarse to try to intercept the ball away, try to kick out his foot, to try to get the ball away. He notices that Frank Nodarse is gonna bite on his bait. So what does he do? He touches the ball slightly out, so that way there is no way that Frank Nodarse could say that, oh, I made contact with the ball. Well, no, the ball had already been towed out by the time you put your foot in, and so all Nodarse's foot got was the leg of Beto Avila. Beto Avila kind of sells it a little bit, right? Falls down on the floor. 100% a penalty in favor of Charleston. And of course, Augie goes up to the penalty spot and puts it into the back of the net. Simple as that. But once again, counterattacks seem to be the Achilles heel for RGV once again.
Yep. You said it best, Edson. It's counterattacks that are just... Once I see RGV FC on a counterattack, and this is just my opinion and how it looks from a fan's to a media person's perspective. Once they're on a counterattack, you think 9 times out of 10, I kid you not, oh, this looks like this is going to be a goal. This looks like, oh, look at this one-touch passing from the visiting team, one touch passing from the opposing team right into the final third. Oh, look, they got past the final third. Has an opportunity and on goal. Saved by Derek. Saved by whoever in goal, barely. Corner kick opportunity now for the visiting team. It's just very difficult once you see off of a counterattack that RGVFC are going to get that momentum back just afterwards.
Overall, guys, let's take a look at the stats. Just so you can see how much more dominant RGV was in this game compared to Charleston Battery. Overall, RGV had 20 shots, 10 of them on target, and I believe Trey Muse was credited with 10 saves in this game because he did win Team of the Week, and the press release said he was accredited with 10 saves. So all of the shots that were on target were saved by Trey Muse. Some of them, like I said, it just happens to be lucky. I think minimum 2 or 3 were shots where he just reacted just for the sake of reacting and the ball went straight to him. And so that gets accredited as a save, right? But we can't complain like before that, oh, it's because they're not putting shots on target. Well, they're putting shots on target. They're putting 10 shots on target. But you got to get it past the keeper, right? So 10 shots on target, 4 of them were blocked. So only 6 shots were off target, right? Most of the shots were from outside the box. There were 14 and shots inside the box, right? Shooting accuracy, 50%, right? Let's see what else. Let me look at some more stats. Crossing accuracy, 13.6. We keep going at it. We don't have the personnel. We don't have a tall 9 where crosses are going to be effective. So our opportunities are going to have to come either from our wingers cutting in and shooting like they mostly did in this game, especially Ricky, or from shots from outside the box, which Juan David Cabezas attempted to do, which he had 2 decent shots on Trey Muse's goal. Right? Let's see what else. In general, 59% possession. 66.7% aerial duels won by Charleston, which makes sense as well. Defense, 17 tackles from RGV, tackle success rate 70.6, 10 clearances compared to 25 clearances from Charleston Battery. All right. So overall, RGV dominated. What's the difference? Charleston took advantage of the few opportunities that they had, the few shots on target that they had, took advantage of them, and put in past Carlos Marancio in one way or another. Yes, one of them was a penalty. And the first goal was obviously, if you're in a situation where you're right in front of the goal, well, don't waste it. And Augie, in the 2 opportunities that he had in front of goal, one of them he put in the back of the net. And like I mentioned right now, the second one, he didn't. But they took one, but he put one in the back of the net. Whereas the opportunities that we had, we were unable to put in the back of the net. So that's the difference. And that's been the issue with RGV, is that they cannot finish the job.
Yep.
And that's the way it is. If you can't finish, you're just giving a lifeline to the opposing team, and all they need is one, and they can take away the 3 points at home or even away, right? So I want to be optimistic, guys. I want to be optimistic, but the reality is you're not winning at home. Fans are getting disgruntled. Fans are getting desperate. Fans are already starting to voice their displeasure. They're already calling for Wilmer Cabrera to be sacked. They're already calling, for so-and-so player to be benched, to not come out, to be sold. Something needs to be done. We saw that in the game against Charleston. Attendance suffered. Well, you could say it was Memorial Day weekend, but still, the fact of the matter is there were not a lot of people there, and the atmosphere was honestly dead. People have not been eager about RGV. They've lost the eagerness. They've lost the hope that this team was going to react, and this team is going to get a positive result at home. We had gotten some of that back after the game against San Diego, but then you lose 3-0 against Tampa Bay. Sheesh, guys. It was like, what are we doing? Kind of thing, So unfortunately, that is the current situation for RGV FC. Hopefully you guys kind of see the tactical idea of what is going on, why there is still a little bit of hope, but really, I think our as of right now, we can't expect this team to be the top teams, to be one of the top teams in the league, right? But we can make the most of what we have, and unfortunately, they're not living up to the potential yet. So, but there's adjustments that need to be made, and they have to do them quick. Because yes, there is a lot of time still, and we're not far away from a playoff spot. But unlike us that kind of see where this is going, what can be done, what the potential is for this team, but also see the reality of, well, this is what we have as far as roster, right? So Wilmer's got to work with what he has. Whose fault is it? Well, that's up to your interpretation, right? But unfortunately, the vocal fans on social media, they have every right to complain. They're out there to see this team win. They're out there to see entertainment. And obviously, if the results aren't coming, well, they're going to be like, well, why should I come? Why should I waste $15, $20, $25 or even more for a ticket just to see this team lose? They're not going to see that, oh, well, there was improvement that we started that we couldn't get a shot on target even if our life depended on it. And now we're dominating. We're getting 10 shots on target, but the goalkeeper, has saved them all. All they see is, oh, we got scored on 3-0. Well, we suck. We're the worst team in the USL Championship. We lost 2-0 again. We can't win at home. All right? So I think just like us, Jacob and I, and you all as an audience of Down in the Valley podcast are trying to see both sides. And I understand, obviously, the point of view of the fans that are voicing their displeasure. Obviously, nobody wants to see a team lose, right? And I understand that, obviously, they were going to do with their money. Like, if they decide, well, the Toros aren't worth the money because they're losing, it's their money, right? But I think also RGV needs to understand the fans' point of view as well, and that it might be added pressure on the players, on the coaching staff, that, well, we've really got to fix the situation. And that leads me to something that, that I asked Ricky about. Well, it seems to me that RGV is fallen trapped to their own pressure. And I try to ask Wilmer, hey, Wilmer, what has been the feedback that you've gotten from your players? Why is it that they play better on the road, or they appear to play a lot more freer on the road than they do here at home? Is there some added pressure because they haven't been able to win, or that it's eating them? I mean, because you see it, they get scored on, and it seems like the morale goes from here to rock bottom, and they're more prone to making the mistakes, right? And unfortunately, we also run into the issue, and I mentioned it in the post game. I know we're probably not going to have time a lot to talk about the game against Orange County, but bear with me, guys. I think it's very important to analyze what is going on, or what actually happened in the game, right? Because at the end of the day, all we can do is just predict when it comes to the upcoming game. And of course, there's other content creators out there that do have the opportunity to talk more about the upcoming opponent, which is Orange County. You can listen to El Gringo podcast, The Shadow Wolf, or even Costless Titan, who's here in the chat, has uploaded some videos on his YouTube channel where he talks about the Toros as well. He's got reactions, he's got shorts with reactions, and of course a preview show as well, right? But where I was getting at, RGV is having some issues in the last couple of games where players that are on the field are getting into arguments with each other. In the game against Tampa, there was an incident where, and I talked to it in the post game, so if you guys haven't watched it, I'll go ahead and summarize it for you. Goal kick for RGV. Tyler Derrick is telling everybody, hey, go up. I'm going to kick it long. Taylor Davila is telling Tyler Derrick, hey, give it to me close. I'm right here outside the box. Just give it to me. Tyler Derrick is telling him, no, I want you to go up. Taylor Davila doesn't listen. Tyler Derrick kicks it up. RGV loses the ball, and Taylor Davila starts yelling at Tyler Derrick and saying, why didn't you pass it to me? Tyler Derrick gets mad at Tyler Derrick gets mad at Taylor Davila and disagrees on the fact, why didn't you listen to me, kind of thing, right? In another game, I want to say it was against New Mexico United. There was a portion of the moment of the game where Robert Coronado has the ball up near the western touchline, near midfield. He passes it back towards Gabriel Benitez, right? Well, Gringo Torres wanted that ball. And then he starts yelling and throwing a tantrum to Robert Coronado why he didn't pass Gringo the ball. While that is happening, Gabriel Benitez passes it towards Gringo while he's in the middle of his tantrum, and RGV almost loses the ball because of that. But Gringo Torres is able to react, and he's able to keep the ball away from the opponent. In this game against Charleston Battery, there was a moment right at the very end where Wahab Akwe and Gringo Torres again were going at it. There was a disagreement between both of them, and they were having a heated conversation within the match. Believe it or not, guys, all of that are signs of low morale. Yeah. It indicates that there is not a synchronization in what they want. I'm not going to go as far as saying that there's no respect for the elders. It's just, I think to me, it's more of a desperation of things aren't going well. And so like, now, well, I need to try this, or like, hey, well, tempers flare up, right? The adrenaline is high, tempers flare up. Maybe some people say, oh yeah, well, yeah, there's some sort of rebellion from the young kids towards the attack, or towards the veterans. But if that was the case, I think that would also be reflected off the pitch. Right? This is just on the pitch moments where it's just desperation, but that affects the morale of this team. And because they're arguing with each other, they're not on the same page, and that just leads to more mistakes, more ill feelings at the end during the game. At the end of the match, if it all stays on the field, let it stay on the field, and let bygones be bygones. I think that's been the case so far, but it is something that I think needs to be said, and people need to be on the lookout that, hey, these are signs that things aren't 100% on the field. That I think once everything goes well and everything goes back into synchronization, we will see less and less of this situation. I don't know what you guys think. I'm just trying to, kind of see both sides of the argument. Jacob, I know I wasn't able to ask you this, but what are your thoughts? Have you seen this, and what is your evaluation of that?
I've definitely seen it. I mean, yes, it was a joke at the start of the show to Gringo Torres, but you brought him up twice. It is true. We have seen him, upset, and it's 100% like you're spot on with the whole thing of it's low morale. It really is. Everyone's confidence is basically shattered. They want to blame somebody else. They don't want to feel this type of freaking pain. I completely understand it, completely agree. The one way that they're going to have to change it, or the one way that they can change it, is, and I mean, this is cheeky, a cheeky way to say it, but it's true. Take it game by game. Forget about last game. Forget about last practice. Forget about the last play. Take it literally baby steps. One play at a freaking time. And I think they're missing that completely, and they're just getting it too much inside their head. Mm-hmm. And I'm no psychologist. I'm no anything like that, but it's 100% true. I played golf throughout high school. I still casually play golf, but I'd like to get more back into it. And I can tell you one thing. Right off the tee box, you hit a bad drive, if you're not mentally tough or mentally ready, you're going to think about that same shot your next two shots. Mm-hmm. And that sucks, because then it just goes downhill. As an announcer, for me, for when I am announcing, if I have a bad call for a play or two, if I miss a name or something like that and miss a big play, sometimes that gets in my head. and then I'm just down the hill. And then I have to mentally tell myself, get out of that crap, get out of that. Move on, be a goldfish, stuff like that. Because you need
It's
to
hard.
be the best it's so hard. It's so difficult to get out of that. And it's just, I mean, if RGV FC have any spare money or something like that, or if any of the players do, I recommend them to get themselves a psychologist just to help them to be able to vent, to have basically somebody there at the club so they can vent their issues and be able to talk about it with somebody else other than a coach or a player.
I know
would
that
be so well. And it's just, yeah, it's so true that this is an underlying issue.
I know that they have they're not necessarily a psychologist, because I remember a couple of times where I've gone to the HEB on Trenton. A person that has contact with the team, and I think he's kind of like a pastor or something.
Yeah.
He's recognized me, and from the podcast, and he's talked about he kind of does a kind of like a psychology session or sometimes with the players, if I recall correctly, because I think this was early last year when I bumped into him, and I haven't seen him in a while, so I don't remember 100% what he does, but I know he's more on the religious side of things, and he's he told me the players that he talks to a lot and something like that. So and I want to say they have to have some sort of knowledge in psychology. I'm not sure if they are full-blown, degree in psychology, but they have to have some sort of knowledge in psychology, because it's basically what it is, but more on the spiritual, religious side of things. I don't know if it's, if everybody has sessions with this play or with this person, because, maybe they, maybe because they have a different religion, or they're atheist or agnostic, or you name it, right? So it's not an official psychologist, but I'm sure something like that would help. At the end of the, considering that we just ended, mental health month, and right, the USL, has been pushing about, take care of your mental health. There's the hotline that you can, talk about, to if you need to talk to somebody and all of that. So I do think it's kind of like, for example, Guignac with Tigres. Like, he hasn't been playing well. He's missed some easy shots. It's a mental thing, because we obviously he's 37, so he might have lost a little bit, but all of that adds up, because you're so used, him as a player, he's so used to, like, pass that he would get, a shot that he makes, it goes into the goal, and so now you see, like, damn, there's like, I'm getting some easy ones, and I'm not putting it into the back of the net, and it really takes a toll on you mentally. So I think that's a good observation, Jacob. I think that's a good suggestion. I think at this point, this is what the team needs. They need some sort of therapy to get their mind straight, kind of relieve some of that pressure, and play what they know that they can do. I think maybe that is what it is. And going back to what I was saying, kind of going into the other side of the spectrum, and I know a lot of people are probably going to think less of me before what I'm about to say, but I am hella toxic in FIFA, especially in pro clubs. So just so you can get kind of an idea what I was talking about, this whole, like, oh, everybody's getting at each other, but it stays on the field. So I play FIFA pro clubs with my cousins, right? From Monterrey. I'm there. I'm the striker. Occasionally, get good games. I get like 2-3 goals, yada, yada, yada. Right. Okay. But when things start going bad, when we can't get good passes, when we're missing all these opportunities on goal, when we're starting to go on a losing streak, what's the first thing I do? I don't be calm. It's like, well, it's okay, guys. We'll get him in the next time. No, I'm like, nah, why didn't you pass it to me like this? You suck. Like, you're just in the way. Yada 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 yada. I get toxic as fuck. Oh, okay. I guess now I'm gonna have to put this episode as explicit. But what I'm getting at is that even though it's virtual and it's not the real thing, like once everything goes bad, it's like you always try to find someone to blame.
Yep.
Even if you know that you messed up as well, you're always like, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you pass it to me like this? Yada, yada, yada. And so there's discord between two opposing with your teammates. But at the end of the day, once the session is over, we're back, to joking around like if nothing happened. Like we don't take it personally. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So once players start taking it personally and it starts kind of leaking past the field, that's when we start, oh yeah, things are really getting dire over here, kind of thing. Yeah. So, but it is what it is. Like I said, this Saturday they're going up against a team that is also not doing well, which is Orange County SC. It's gonna be on the road. Like I said, is usually where RGV plays better. So I'm really hoping that we can get a good result. I know I told the guys that because I was in the chat while the Orange and Black Soccer Cast was going on, and I told them my prediction was 2-1 RGV. So, Jacob, what's your regular prediction?
Regular prediction will kind of sound like a bold prediction. My regular prediction 4-0 RGV FC.
4-0?
4-0.
Okay.
I really want RGV FC to beat Orange County SC really bad. Yeah, I know things are kind of past with that whole issue, but it's still, I don't know. Let's just beat them once really bad, and then I'll be over it even more. Let's just get
our revenge, and then let bygones be bygones.
Exactly.
Abraham says, also really wanted to see Emilio Icaza play against RGVFC. Miss that guy. I want to say I saw him with a brace, so he might have been injured. But then again, I just saw him like out of the corner of my eye. He had gone into the Toros locker room, I guess, to say hi to some of the former teammates and stuff. But I could have sworn I saw him with a black brace on his leg. So that might have been the reason why I didn't play. He was probably injured. Mike says, we really need Galindres. Players getting hurt right now is killing us, man. I agree. We don't have a lot of personnel to begin with, and now you got to add even more injuries, because I think Benitez went out with an injury as well in this game. And then we lost Jonathan Ricketts last week, so it's like, what is going on? Costla says, golf is mostly mental. I lost my cool at Los Lagos yesterday.
Oh, gosh. No, don't do that. No.
I'm pretty sure.
Do not lose your cool at golf. No, sir.
I can already imagine Costla's tied into like, grabbing his club.
I hope Mike's still in this chat as well, because imagine Costless paired up with Mike Reyes. Oh goodness. I can already tell that could be chaos. Well, unless Mike, you know, because he does do. Unless Mike is in a fantastic place, let me put it that way. He does own a smoke shop, unless he's taking some CBD, but in a super calm place, like relaxed. And then he could just try to mellow out Costless. Then that pairing could actually work.
Wow, bro. Mike says RGV 2-1, and then gives his bold prediction. So for me, bold prediction, I'm going to go with 3-0. 3-0 RGV with a Hattie by Francois. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just tell my bold prediction really quick. There was some breaking news from the Pistons got a coach. That's why. Mm-hmm. That just happened like literally right now. But yeah, bold prediction, Orange County SC, it's going to be raining. That is a big old bold prediction for me. It's going to be some rain at Championship Field, and it's going to be a great goal scoring match, and it's going to be 5-3. RGVFC will take the win by a late penalty to seal the deal.
So Mike says bold RGV 3-0. Frank gets his first start and gets a hat trick.
That's even crazier.
Kosla says, let's book the tea time. Abraham, who are they playing next week or this week? Orange County SC. Orange County SC at Orange County. And then after that, I believe RGV is. Hold on, let me look at the schedule for the Toros. Select the team schedule. Rio Grande Valley.
It's like
okay.
Nah,
So they're going to be away against Orange County, and then on the 10th, they're home against Miami.
And then they're away against New Mexico United. I remember that.
Yeah, and then they're at home, against Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah. So we should still be alternating. I think when they're gonna have an away stretch is going to be on the Wednesday the 28th, when they're going to go to Oakland, and then Saturday, July 1st, when they're going to go up against Sacramento Republic in Sacramento. Then on July 8th, they'll be back here at home against Orange County SC. So yeah, that's going to be the future for RGV so far in this season. But Jacob, any final thoughts before we go?
Final thoughts. Not really. Let's see how we look against Orange County. Go from there. Hopefully, everything is prepped well. And let's hope for any visiting fans for RGV FC. This is going to be a public service announcement real quick. Yeah, I'm going to extend the show a little bit longer, but this is important. Keep your mouth shut. Be respectful, fans. You're away. Don't be stupid and say some dumb stuff and try to start stuff with Orange County fans. We don't need a repeat. We don't need any of that to happen in any games. Be respectful if you live in LA and are going out to that game, because you're an away fan. If not, burn your Toros merch. I kid you not. This is no joke. We don't need this at all in this sport, let alone with RGVFC. If you disrespect RGVFC in any way like that, you are not a part of this club as fans. Because of last year, what happened twice made us look awful. That also goes for home as well, but it's more on away because you are a very limited number compared to everybody else. Been warned by me, of course, but just be respectful on the road. It's very simple. That's it. Follow me at Jacob Young 456 on Twitter.
Yeah, I think we also talked about that immediately after that situation last season. We said, at the end of the day, you're representing, even though you're not from the Valley, but you're representing the Valley. And unfortunately, that situation at Orange County led to a particular fan making, terrible generalizations about RGV fans on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got called out, and X and Y, right? But at the end of the day, even if, he said it publicly, but privately, there might be a lot of fans from Orange County that now have a terrible impression about RGV fans, even though the fans technically were not from the Rio Grande Valley, but they're going to view Rio Grande Valley fans as, being obnoxious and disrespectful and, plain out hostile. When in reality, we tend to not be hostile at all. And unfortunately, it's, every time you're wearing a Toros shirt, you're out there representing the Valley, you're out there representing the team and the club. So there is some sort of responsibility that you have when wearing a shirt. What do you think, like when people get caught or get arrested and they're wearing like a Barcelona shirt or a Real Madrid shirt or an America shirt, they're like, they start jokingly, but at the same time, they're kind of being a little bit like using it as banter, saying, "Mira, o sea, that team is like a bunch of criminals and stuff like that." But it's, at the end of the day, the fan base is going to be judged by anybody that's wearing the the jersey of a particular team. And we don't need any of that. At the end of the day, soccer is, should be a family outing. We're out there to have a good time. The end was we're enemies for 90 and friends for life, kind of thing. So let's not have any kind of issues anymore. For the sake of everybody, and that goes here as well. So. But thank you, Jacob, for actually bringing that up. Honestly, so Costless says, Abraham says, preach, Jacob. Costless says, I don't even want to ask what happened. Costless said, it wasn't me. I'm too scared to wear my Toros jersey at SA away games. I know you did tell me that. By the way, we had a excellent conversation in the second half between Costless Titan and I. So. He is knowledgeable as where he has such a passion for the Toros. So be sure to check out his stuff out when you guys have the time. Gilbert says, have we ever had any Toros gear on the busted newspaper? Not that I recall yet. So let's keep it that way.
Yeah, not in the newspaper at least, but
I mean, to be fair, we haven't gotten to the point as a fan base where it is a general thing where the fans are going to be wearing the Toros outside of the soccer games, right? Yeah. So the probability of them doing something in their spare time with a Toros jersey and coming out, on it with a mugshot is really, really low at this point. But anyway, we're really being off topic now. But guys, that's going to be it for tonight. We thank you all for tuning in. It's almost going to be another 2-hour episode, but I hope you guys really enjoyed the analysis. We really enjoyed the talk. Kind of get an idea of what's going on with this team. Like I said, I'm not here for you to tell you, don't criticize the team, but at least kind of get an idea of what's going on, the tactical things that we can improve, and things that really should be improved and that can be criticizable about, but also see it in the aspect of, this is what we have, kind of situation. So just go out there, have fun. If you're gonna go to the Toros games at home, go out there, wear your shirt with pride. I still want to have a little bit of faith. If you're losing the faith, I'm okay with that. You, at the end of the day, you guys make the judgment call. I'm not gonna criticize you for that. But at least if you're gonna criticize, at least give evidence as to why you're criticizing. Don't just be like I said a while ago. This keeper sucks. Like, really? What evidence do you have to say that Merancio sucks, right? So unfortunately,
no free jumbo jack.
Well, unfortunately, there's a couple of fans. I'm not going to say the majority of the Toros fans, but there's some fans that look at any opportunity to criticize just to criticize, and then when you come at them with evidence, they have nothing to back their claims up. It is what it is. Unfortunately, like I mentioned to you all, unfortunately, there's not a lot of alternatives of getting informed about the team. Fortunately, some of the fans, like Costless, are starting to start their own projects on talking about the team. Obviously, Shadow from Germany joining us, Ray, Jacob, and I, on talking about the team, posting content, the post-game video, the post-game press conferences, pre-game press conferences, from training during the week and all of that. And that keeps a lot of people informed. And you know what? What I have seen from at least from this season, from the analytics of the videos, there have been people that have been searching on the browser, on YouTube, about RGV FC. We've had a couple of new people come into the show, start talking about the show, people leaving comments in some of the videos. And that is a good sign that at least people are starting to get involved in knowing more about the team rather than just going to the game and all of that. So hopefully this trend continues. Like I said, I've always said knowledge is good about the team on knowing, you know, what people like to do that, you know. So I always respect when somebody's criticizing and they have evidence, or at least you get the idea that they know what they're talking about. It's like, okay, yeah, okay. And you get into a little healthy debate with them and everything is fine. Like I said, never believe that neither I or that I or Jacob are the absolute owners of the truth. How many times have we been proven wrong about something? Multiple times. And I'm man enough to admit it. I've been wrong before, and I will continue to be wrong. You know, so but we use it as an opportunity to learn more about this team. And we're going to be doing this together. And I'm just glad that our community is starting to grow. And I thank you all for sharing. I thank you all for interacting with us. All of that helps us to get more favoritism, or not favoritism, but we get favored by the YouTube algorithm a lot more with your likes, with your comments, with your shares, with your click-throughs of any videos, any content that we put up. All of that, the more y'all interact that way with our content, the more we get shared by the YouTube algorithm, we get recommended and all of that. And maybe we can help continue to reach out with more people, with more Toros fans. But that isn't just for us down in the Valley. Do the same thing with anything related with RGV. The RGV's official YouTube, Ray Silva stuff at South Texas Border Sports, Costless Titans shorts, his videos, all of that. The more you interact with those videos, the more the YouTube algorithm will favor them and will recommend it to people who the algorithm believes they might be interested in the Toros. So all of that works. That's all I ask you all. You know, if we're going to be a very active community, let's make sure that all the content that is RGV related gets favored by the YouTube algorithm so that they can be spread out to more people here in the Rio Grande Valley. And maybe, you know, we can start a revolution. Maybe we can actually, you know, help propagate more about learning more about this team on the inside of what's going on, or at least see kind of the other side of what is going on. Because unfortunately, yes, the mainstream media, I sound like freaking Trump. But unfortunately, like the regular media, like the TV stations and the radio stations, they don't have the time to go on a more analytical aspect about the Toros. So all they really have time for is, okay, this is the final score. This is who scored in the game, and then they move on to the next thing, right? So let's take advantage of not being constrained by time constraints, by, you know, advertiser, you know, constraints, because at the end of the day, if you're not bringing in interaction, you're not bringing in views, well, you're not bringing in money for the TV station or the radio station, and they're going to ask that kind of stuff. Fortunately, we do this out of the love for the team, out of the love for this community. So we don't have that thing. Like, I mean, we don't care if we're losing money, right? We do the content because we want this information to be out there. We want the fans to know more about it, you know. So even if I'm losing the hell of money, you know, buying microphones or stuff like that, well, I'm gonna keep doing it because, you know, I do it for the love. Jacob does it for the love as well, putting in his time to come on the show, to go to the games, you know, analyze this game. Ray as well, you know, taking the time off, you know, to be able to go to the games, go to the practices, you know, to the press conferences and all of that. So everybody's putting in, you know, their 2 cents into this movement, and let's help each other out, you know. So and of course Shadow, like, being up at like 6 a.m. over there in Germany, watching the games, recording his podcast as well. So, we're all doing something to help Toro's coverage. So let's help each other out, and hopefully we can collaboratively reach to more people here in the Rio Grande Valley to know that the team exists, and the fans that are already there to know more about what's really going on and be a little bit more analytical, and not look just at the scoreboard and say, this goalkeeper sucks or stuff like that. So we thank you all for that. And my throat is getting dry. But real quick, Mike says, hell no, I will definitely wear my Toros jersey in San Antonio with El Prez in the back. Costless State Titan, the corrupt media won't cover our team. You can only trust DITV. Thank you, Costless. I really appreciate your kind words. And like I said, he's doing a good job with his style in bringing more content about down in the valley, or about RGV FC. But yeah, Jacob, unless you have something else you want to end the show, I think it's time to call it a day.
Yeah, I'm ready to end the show. Well, let's just end it. Thank you for, of course, having me on as always, Edson. Seems like this was a very civil show, so I will be back the next week, as long as I am not sick or have anything that I am forced to do. You survive another week, sir, with especially JT too.
I'm pretty sure JT's ears are rumbling right now from all the mentions that you've done of him. But guys, thank you so much. We'll see each other next Wednesday, in another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. You all stay safe and take care. And at the end of the day, vamos toros. Have a good night.